Live now to our reporter Nicolaus Bauer, who is outside the ANC headquarters in Johannesburg, outside Luthuli House for us this morning. Nicolaus, a very good morning to you. While we wait for this response from President Jacob Zuma, I suppose, have you heard, do we have any idea? I mean, there were lots of times being bandied about yesterday. The expectation was last night first, and it was 10 o'clock this morning. Now that, in all likelihood, is not going to happen. Any idea as to when we can expect this to happen?
Well, Viveka, we are in the middle of the waiting game, and I should only imagine us being outside the Revolutionary House, that is Luthuli House, in Pixie Kaseme Road in the center of Johannesburg. If we are going to hear from President Jacob Zuma, I should imagine that it's only going to be at the Union Buildings or at another government location. We must remember, after he lost, or at least after he finished his second term as ANC president in December, he no longer has an office here at Luthuli House. So we'll have to wait and see where he will eventually address the nation and eventually address this instruction to vacate the office of the presidency. But let's have a look at what has happened thus far. We had that press conference yesterday. I've never seen the Luthuli House media room as full, but at least since Gwede Mantashe, when he was still Secretary General, addressing the nation after President Jacob Zuma was ruled to have breached the Constitution. And of course, also even before they had that very well-equipped media room, when Julius Malema was expelled from the ANC, the entrance to Luthuli House was packed to the rafters with journalists. So it was a bit of a return to past memories there yesterday. But just have a look at the names on the wall here. Obviously, it doesn't start with the very first ANC president, John Langalihle Dube, that founded the organization, was part of the founders alongside Sol Plaatje and others back in 1912. But we've got here Albert Luthuli, James Moroka, Oliver Tambo, Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, and Jacob Zuma. Obviously, this hasn't been updated just yet. Jacob Zuma still listed as the current president of the ANC, 2007 to present. 100 years of selfless struggle. Now that is quite a statement on a day like this. Is it going to be a selfless act of love by President Jacob Zuma on Valentine's Day by heeding the call to vacate the presidential office, or with other various expressions of love, would he decide not to leave because the people, as he said before, still love him? So it's a waiting game, Iveka, and we're in the middle of the city of gold, fighting with the chaotic Joburg morning traffic as we wait with bated breath to hear what President Jacob Zuma says about his own party deciding that he no longer can serve as president.
Okay, I'm going to fall into the trap, Nicolaus, and I'm going to go with the whole theme of love here. And of course, the ANC, and I was saying to Claudia earlier, I've woken up a bit confused this morning also, and I'm not sure if other people feel the same way as to, they said yesterday at this press conference, Ace Magashule saying, we have asked him to step down, but he hasn't done anything wrong. Ace Magashule himself seeming to still have quite a fondness for his president. He's been an avid supporter of his. We have them trying to show him, asking for dignity and respect for President Jacob Zuma as well. Very confusing, and many people left with the question: okay, if he hasn't done anything wrong, and you're stating as much, why are you asking him to step down? Are you getting that sentiment also?
I get it, and if we're going to continue with the theme of Valentine's Day and use the metaphor of love, Verka, we've all been through breakups. Some breakups definitely more difficult than others, and perhaps certain members of the ANC, NEC are just in that different stages of a breakup. You of course have denial before you have acceptance, and of course also we have the stage of anger, and that's what I want to watch out for, because eventually we might see the back of President Jacob Zuma. But what about the people that still had deep feelings for him and thought that he shouldn't be ejected from the Union Buildings? How are they going to express their anger? And politically speaking, I think in the months ahead, even if we are, to my mind, surprised by President Jacob Zuma this morning and he perhaps tenders his resignation with no questions asked, what are we going to see in the weeks and the months to come? A lot of people are of the opinion, you have a look at social media, you hear people talking in the streets, in restaurants and bars, As soon as Zuma goes, oh, you know, South Africa's problems are all solved. I cannot think of anything more naive at this point in time. Perhaps it is the beginning of South Africa's recovery. A lot of people think that, political analysts, members of the ANC, members of the opposition as well. But as you said at the beginning of this program, we're in uncharted territories. You know, the last time we had a recall was way back in September 2008. And for all intents and purposes, it's vastly different to what we are facing now, because you know, when the ANC communicated that decision, it was almost automatic that Thabo Mbeki, as the state president, came out and said that, well, I will tender my resignation once all constitutional obligations have been fulfilled.
Okay, well, the day is still young. Let's see what happens. Who knows what surprises are in store for us. Thank you very much. ENC's Nicolaus Bauer outside Luthuli House.